DHS for another amazing guide. I am Amont, and today we are going over Cultists Refuge while playing the new class, the Valkyrie. Cultists Refuge is the fourth dungeon that you will encounter in Tera. It's for players between levels 35 to 40 with an armor requirement of 96. There is a story quest line that leads to this dungeon, so if you want the full experience, you must follow the Samuel's apparition plotline. These quests begins in the Valarium city of Talafan. This quest has no quest giver as it is given to you automatically after finishing the final fury, and the quest is named A Race Through Dark Places. Now, unlike the past dungeons, this dungeon is where it begins to get difficult. So let's discuss the first room. The first room has a woodstone that you must activate to proceed. The woodstone is guarded by some mobs. Make sure to avoid the floor traps as well. These can cause knockdown. Kill the mobs. The Wrath does have an AoE lightning attack, but it's easy enough to dodge. Once you're done, activate the stone and leave the way you came in and head to the left. The next room is filled with skeletons who stand next to barrels. Let your range blow up the barrels. The mobs will take 60% damage. Beware of the undead who stand next to the door on the other side of the room. If you pull him, 4 other undead will aggro, so it's best to kill him last. Now the next room has 2 types of mobs, imps and stationary golems. You don't need to fight the golems because they don't move, so just keep away from them and you'll be fine. Imps isn't anything special, just let your tank pull them and AoE them down. After you kill all the imps, there is one golem standing at the door at the other side of the room, which is the way you gotta go. You can either kill him or your lancer can just pull him with his leash. Once the golem is pulled, proceed into the next room. Now you can actually skip this next room if you've already completed the Dark Dreams Sundered quest line. If not, just clear the room of mobs and then talk to Davina. You'll have to protect her from waves of mobs for about 5 minutes. This is very easy. As long as you survive those 5 minutes, you're complete. That's it. Then move to the next room. Now the first boss encounter is Galanos. This encounter overall is very basic, however he does hit hard, so be ready. He has several abilities to look out for. First is his normal attack. This does normal damage and is pretty slow, so it's easy to dodge or block. Then he has an AoE Mace Cleave attack. It deals massive damage and can knock down. Before it lands, a red circle will appear on the ground, so everyone except for the tank should move out of the circle ASAP when they see it appear. Also, the healer should be ready to heal any heavily wounded players who didn't make it out on time. This can be dodged and blocked. At 80% and then every 1 minute, Galanos will head to the center of the room and summon minions. You can interrupt him with movement debuffs, or your lance can pull him with the leash ability. And finally is his shockwave. It deals minor damage and applies a damage debuff to anyone in a cone angled in front of him. Also can be dodged and blocked. Once defeated, activate the second woodstone, which opens the door at the beginning of the dungeon. Don't forget, or you will have to run all the way back, and it's kind of a waste of time. Now once you activate the ward stone, you can head back the way you came, all the way back to the beginning. This unlocked the door across from you, so just head across, go into the next room and slaughter those mobs. There's nothing special in this room. Once you're in the second room on this side, you will see a few sorcerers which will summon scorpions once confronted. The sorcerers do moderate damage with their spell balls and the scorpions apply a debuff. This is easy enough though, just pull them all together and AoE them and then move on. Kill any mobs that you meet on the staircase. There will be a split here. Go to the right. You will return here later on after you kill the third boss. After you make this right, just kill the mobs in the third room. As you enter the fourth room, you will encounter the second boss, High Priestess Akia. She stands in the middle of the room. Just talk to her and it will trigger the encounter. Now she will grow into an Amazon, but most of her attacks are pretty basic. But watch out because she still packs quite a punch. So the attacks to look out for is her normal attack, which does normal damage. It's kind of slow and easy to block or dodge. Next is her Shockwave. It deals moderate AoE electric damage in a cone angle in front of her. DPS and healers should be behind her, so they shouldn't have anything to really worry about. Next is her Chain AoE attack. She will lift herself into the air and cast a red circle on the ground, which damages anyone who stands in it, followed by another electric AoE attack. Both attacks can be interrupted with stuns. This deals moderate damage. And last is her damage over time or dot attack. In some points she will cast blue circles on the ground. Anyone who stands in it could have a dot debuff put on them. Move out fast and healer be cautious and cleanse any members who have the debuff. Other than that, just spank that Amazon bitch back to size. Okay, so after you beat her down, move on to the third boss, which is Terkasia. Okay, now technically this is the final boss in the dungeon. However, once you beat him, a doorway will open to a bonus boss, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Now to summon him, you need to click on the book. Now his move list is pretty much the same as those in the wild, however he hits much harder. Now this boss can be a real challenge, so stay alert because this guy can dish out some serious damage. Pay attention to his eyes and his body because if anything changes, it usually means something's gonna happen. So what can he do, do you ask? Well, let's break down his moves, shall we? Now his normal attack is pretty standard, dealing normal damage. It's slow and can easily be dodged and blocked, just like all of them. Now when his body spins and tilts, he's about to use his tentacle shock. After its body spins around, it's gonna hit the ground with his tentacles doing minor damage, but followed by his shock wave, which surrounds him and deals pretty heavy damage, so be ready to iframe. Now sometimes he will place a random circle on the ground. He will then launch a lightning bolt into that circle. This deals medium damage, but it's very slow and easy to dodge. He also has his backlash. DPS will see a red circle minus one little pizza slice around him. This means that he is about to spin around and smack you, so move. It deals about medium damage. Now his shout attack is a two-parter. First, a red circle forms around him, which will then spray a black mist around him, debuffing you. Then followed immediately with another red circle under him, which is his AoE electric damage in the ground. Both of these hurt, so don't get hit by them. And then the last is his charge attack. You will see a large red mark in front of him. He will tilt his body forward and charge. This will knock you down. Okay, so after you turn him into scrap metal, you can head back to the door I told you to skip earlier. In there will be waiting the next challenge, which is the bonus boss. And now onto the bonus boss, which is Bhaozurbas. I probably butchered that name. Uh, which can be a pretty smooth fight if everyone knows what they are doing, but it can also be a very big nightmare if people don't. The tank should tank him away from the center of the room because he will go there and summon clones of himself. Ranged DPS and healers need to be aware of his aggro because he will teleport to you. And trust me, this guy being all up in your grill is not my idea of a good time. He also has a charge ability and a shockwave spell. Everyone needs to be on their guard. He moves around a lot and he does do really heavy damage. Okay, so let's break his moves down a little more. Just as a side note, before you start this fight, your party leader should put a mark on him. It makes it way easier during the fight. Now his normal attack is slow, it deals normal damage, blah blah blah, same as everyone else in here. Now his aggro teleportation, if he aggroes any ranged DPS or healer, he can teleport to them immediately. The tank needs to do his best to keep aggro and should be ready to re-aggro him in a moment's notice. Next is his Shockwave. It deals mediocre AoE electric damage on a cone angle in front of him. He puts his hands to the air as an animation right before he does this attack. So any DPS and healer can move behind them if they're, in front of him for some unknown reason. And at some point he will go to the center of the room and summon clones. Trying to interrupt him with the movement debuffs, if you can. Sometimes the Lancer can leash him. In most cases you will fail to interrupt him and he will clone spawns. Everyone try to avoid them and focus on the original. The clone eventually will disappear after about 15 seconds, and this is why I said marking him helps. I'm just saying. Also watch for his charge. He crouches and puts his hands on the ground. It can knock down, and he will trample all over the room at one time. This is most commonly done after his teleportation attack, if it hits. It does moderate damage, and it can be blocked. Electricity Nova. It deals major damage to anyone who stands inside the red circle. The red circle marks the spot where one of its swords will land with a fury of lightning strikes. Anyone else except the tank move out of the circle as soon as you see it. DPS, watch for a small red circle that will appear behind him. This means he is about to walk backwards. This can do knockdown and deal medium damage. Also watch for a 45-degree red circle that appears under him. This means he is going to swipe behind him. This deals medium damage. And that's it. So just kill this Argon scum and be done with it. And congratulations, you have completed Cultists Refuge. You can now hand in any quests that you have back at the front of the dungeon where you first started. And please stay tuned for the next dungeon, which will be Necromancer's Tomb. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this guide. I am Amont from DHS, and if you enjoyed this video, please show us support by liking and subscribing to the channel, and even leaving a nice little comment below. I hope to see you again real soon. Have a good night.